Hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Gunpla Network News. As always, I'm your host, The Spicer, and of course none of this would be possible without those great folks over at Canadian Gundam. Don't forget to use the promo code Gunpla Network for 10% off your entire order. Starting off with some re-releases, all of them coming out in April of 2020, we've got the Gundam Age releases, which is actually really exciting. Gundam Age was one of the first series of kits I actually really dug into, and really solid high grades. They were starting to get more of the universal joints and shared a lot of the same articulation that a lot of the 00 kits had, where they could pretty much move all over the place, with some exceptions. But really solid kits. If you've not checked them out, I do highly recommend it. But we're getting the G-Exis, the G-Bouncer, the G-Xiphus, the Zedra, the Gundam Age 2 Double Bullet, the Gundam Age 2 Dark Hound, the Gundam Age FX, the Gundam Legolas, and the Gundam Age 1 Full Glanza, kind of like the full armor version. All really cool. The Age 2 arguably is the best design in the show, and one of my favorite, the Dark Hound, just is a stellar design. And a lot of it's a good mix. It's not all Gundams, so that's really nice. We're also getting some of the high-grade 1144 90s Gundam Wing Dual Story G-Unit model kits coming out in 1997. They've aged somewhat, to say the least. Now this is the same series. We're getting that new P-Bandai high-grade after Colony Jimenez Gundam, but these are the old school 90s kits, and we'll have the Jimenez Gundam, the Asclepius Gundam, the Elo Booster, which is a armor pack that goes with the Jimenez. We'll have the Hydra Gundam and the Gundam Groupier. All really cool kits, but most of the actually all of the non-Jimenez ones are transformable, which is a really unique feature for the 90s. Not the best transformations, but still really cool. I'm really excited for these to come out and see really solid custom work, as a lot of people have already done that. But once again, these are coming out in April of 2020. And lastly, we have the high-grade reissues of the Iron-Blooded Orphans line, which is really exciting because, well, it's a pretty new series. Some of those kits are getting really hard to find or really expensive. Most likely, we're going to see some of the Barbatoses, of course. We're not going to miss that. Of course, we're going to get some Grazes. I'm really hoping we see some Sheedens again, though, because those are getting hella hard to find, and those are such a cool-looking grunt suit. Say what you will about Iron-Blooded Orphans, the grunt suits are really interesting designs. Now for the cute little guys. Starting off with the Haropla Haro Loader, set to release in April of 2020 for an undisclosed price tag at this time. Very excited that Haropla is continuing to grow. They've done a lot of really cool things with the Haropla series, and this loader is just another step in that direction. It's like getting a construction worker Zaku or something like that, where it's just kind of a neat thing to be like, oh, that happened in the background. And I can already see people doing some cool Aliens customs because it's very similar to the loader that we see in the Aliens franchise. So really cool. I can't wait to see what they do with Haropla next. We'll also be getting the SD Cross Silhouette Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex, set to release in April of 2020 for a price tag of 1,540 Japanese yen, and this is a phenomenal representation of the Barbatos Lupus Rex. Kind of a little bit of concern, with it being so beastly to turn it into something small and cute, but it works very well. You still get a bendable wire for the tail, which is really nice, and it looks like the arm manipulators, the extra little sub-arms on the arms, can help hold the giant mace. We don't see that directly in a picture, but we see it holding one of the small maces, so we can generally kind of assume it would probably clip on. And for pretty much every variation of the Barbatos Lupus Rex, that's been an issue. So not only is it going to be practically a little bit better, it's also going to visually look great. So if you want something cute yet intimidating on your desk, this is a good way to go. In high-grade news, we have the high-grade RX-78-2 Gundam The Origins version, set to release in March of 2020 for a price tag of 2,530 Japanese yen. And this is arguably one of the most exciting ramps releases to ever come out. A bunch of people have been clamoring for this, and everyone's really kind of thinking this is the de facto RX-78 now. And with it being the Origins version and us getting close to seeing it more so in Origins, and it sharing more similarities with the RX-78-1, such as that over-the-shoulder cannon and the Gatling thing in the chest and the extra cameras that we see on the shoulder, reminiscent of what we'd see later on in the Mark II, it is a phenomenal... It's one of those high grades that gets so close to the real grade, it's almost on a borderline. It's not going to have the part separation and all the tiny finicky things, but it still visually is phenomenal. When I had first seen the promotional images, I was thinking, this is just them showing the master grade off again. And it wasn't. It's the high grade, and I'm really, really excited, as is everybody, for this. It looks stellar. We also have the high grade Build Divers Re-Rise Enemy Gundam Provisional. So it's not the official name, but for now it is. Set to release in April of 2020 with no determined price tag. This takes the core Gundam gimmick and turns it into a bad guy suit, and it looks really nice. It's a lot smoother, it's not as angular, and the core Gundam isn't as small, so not as many Keanu memes can be made here, but the arms are pretty much unaffected by the transformation, and the legs are a lot lankier. So this is kind of like if the core Gundam was OG Gundam Amuro, this is like Amuro and Zeta Gundam. It's a little bit more grown up, a little bit edgier, making some poor life choices at this point. But it does look phenomenal, and I've seen people do some interchanging work with the original core Gundam parts, and it looks great that way too. A lot of nice little details here and there, and it's very menacing for a very, very rounded Gundam. Speaking of rounded Gundams, we have the high-grade Build Divers Re-Rise Gundam GP-Rase-Two, set to release in April of 2020 for no determined price tag at this time. This takes the GP-02 and Red Orxit, or Ogre, or whoever it was from Build Divers, who had the red mobile suit with the big beam scythes or scimitars. Really neat take. We don't see a lot of customization or even a lot of variants of the GP-02, and it's such a neat design that it really, you get let down a lot. But this changes out the giant shield arm thingies, giant binders for manipulators, very big arms basically. Reminds me almost of some Outlaw Star manipulators off the ships. It's got, looks like, some beam weaponry. It's got the nuclear cannon over the shoulder, and the other part ends up being kind of a revolver looking weapon. It's very interesting there, but very nicely done, very nicely designed, and if you want something big, bulky, and menacing, this is going to look great on your shelf. In real grade news, we have the real grade Force Impulse Gundam, set to release in April of 2020 for a price tag of 3,300 Japanese yen. And this, originally when we saw the promo images, I was like, okay, it looks fine, but getting the actual 3D renders and the actual production images, it looks phenomenal. I mean, there's detail all over the place that you didn't really get to see in those promotional images. There's a ton of panel lining opportunity if you decide to do so. Not a lot of nice little gimmicks, such as kind of the core splendor and separating it into parts, almost reminiscent of the GPO-1 style kind of core body system, but looks like it probably pulls it off slightly better because it's not as much of the torso. The backpack folds up very nicely. It looks like the shield does as well. Color separation's phenomenal. You get at least a few shades of blue. It's kind of hard to tell where they're at, but very nice. A couple of shades of gray and white, red accents all over the place. It's just a much better representation than what we originally were exposed to, and this actually has me excited for more Gundam Seed real grades, because the Gundam Seed real grades I've built so far have not impressed me. The Destiny and the Ale Strike were not terrible, but they were much closer to the hand grenade early real grades than they are to the current situation of real grades. So very cool, very excited. Hopefully this ends up not being a hand grenade. In Master Grade news, we have the Master Grade 1100 Tallgeese III Special Coating, set to release January 11th of 2020, so it's already released, For a price tag of 10,120 Japanese yen, this is the iconic final version of the Tallgeese that we get in the Endless Waltz movie, but with that nice pearlescent finish. So if you've wanted Zex Marquis to come back to your shelf, this is a great way to do it, especially if you missed out on the first run of the Master Grade or the Real Grade, or the Real Grade Special Coating version that we'll be inevitably getting. In Perfect Grade news, we have the Perfect Grade Strike Gundam set to release in February of 2020 for a price tag of 27,500 Japanese yen. So expensive as you'd expect, but still it is the Perfect Grade Strike with different, or the Perfect Grade Perfect Strike rather. So it's going to have all of its different weapon sets. If you want just one of them, you can absolutely do that. It looks like you can do the Striker, the Launcher, or the Striker, the Hail, the Launcher, or the Sword Pack. I've always been partial to the Sword Pack just because giant swords are cool, but that Launcher Pack with the giant green cannon is looking very, very intriguing. And the only P-Bandai release we have is the P-Bandai Re-100 Shoku, set to release in May of 2020 for a price tag of 4,180 Japanese yen. The Shoku actually comes from the Zanskar Empire, so probably a lot of you out there are like, what is this? What is it? What is this? This is actually from Victory Gundam if you've never seen it. Probably not in the minority on that one. But the Zanskar Empire used this as kind of its test bed for its next wave of next generation mobile suits. It does have a very unique design. It has the almost kind of the Gundam V fin, some really bug-like eyes, and it's very, very rounded. Very similar to Dunderbind designs, in my opinion, but it's very unique. If you're a fan of Victory Gundam, this is definitely going to be something you want to pick up. It very accurately represents what was shown in the show and in the animation, so it's not a bad suit, especially if you're into Victory Gundam. And now to the top 5 of the week. In 5th place we have Hasashi Tatsukazu with his furry bear guy family. In 4th place we have Robert Kurtz and his Master Grade Polyball. In 3rd place we have Sadoku-sama with his cel-shaded GP-04. In 2nd place we have Chris Pablate in his Dragon King Barbatos Lupus Rex. In 1st place we have Gerald A. Williams with his GM Slayer, or Goblin Slayer. And that has been it for the news this week. A lot of really cool things. I'm really excited about the reissues and a lot of really exciting stuff coming out in the first half of the year. So keep an eye on that. Of course, keep your eyes out here on the Gunpla Network for more news, more unboxing, more reviews, and a myriad of other things such as interviews, ship breakdowns, and just fun content in general. We also are over on Facebook and Instagram. Be sure to check in with us over there, as well as running our own website, gunplanetwork.com, where yours truly has been writing articles again. Of course, lastly, can't forget to plug the Teespring store. Go ahead and pick yourself up a sweatshirt or just a t-shirt, depending on where you're at. It's either hot or cold. It's going to be fitting for any season. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day, and as always, keep on building.